Hi, my name is Alan Mulvey. I'm a member of Bread of Life Lutheran Church in Rome, New York. And recently I had an opportunity to spend a month in Liberia, Africa with Pastor Peter Sy. I'd like to tell you about this trip and about Liberia and the people there. The story actually began 3 years ago when Peter sold his house in Philadelphia and used the proceeds to purchase 2 parcels of land in his home country of Liberia. On one parcel, he built a house for some of his family members to live in. On the other parcel, he's building a guest house where foreign missionaries can come and stay in safety and comfort. The guest house has 5 apartments. Each apartment has a front porch, a back porch, living room, dining room, and a kitchenette, and 2 bedrooms. Each bedroom has its own private bath with a shower. When we arrived, there was no running water in the guest house. Our purpose for the mission was, in fact, to put up a water tower and a windmill and provide running water in the guest house, as well as provide water on tap for the local community. And we set about doing that. Upon our arrival, water was obtained from the pump nearby. One of our first tasks was to get the water tower operational. A concrete platform had been built ahead of time, and all we had to do was get that 500-gallon tank up to the top of the tower. It proved to be not without some difficulties. We used a small winch to hoist it up, but just before we got to the top, the winch broke. And with the tank dangling, as we were trying to figure out what to do next, a torrential rainstorm broke out. In Liberia, during the rainy season, rain comes hard and fast, and it came down hard. When the rain stopped, we decided to build scaffolding. And then men would climb up on the scaffolding and physically lift the tank up onto the tower. And this is how we managed to succeed in getting the tank up onto the platform. With the water tank secure upon the tower, we set out with the next phase of our project, putting in the footers for the wind turbine. The footers would need to cure for at least a day or 2 before we could anchor onto them. So we wanted to get them in fairly early. And I'd just like to make a note about, you hear me using the word we quite often, but you've probably never seen me in any of the videos actually doing any of the work. I am very freely using the royal we, as this is a team project, but I personally did none of the heavy lifting. In fact, when I took a shovel and tried to do a bit, Oliver ran over to me, snatched the shovel out of my hand and said, no, I'll do that. They just would not allow me to do any of the heavy labor. Not that I'm complaining about it. I'm very happy to help Peter in supervising and in making the various connections that needed to be made along the way. But I just wanted to point that out. We needed 5 concrete pads for the wind turbine. And the soil here is extremely hard clay. You can probably tell from the videos that it was not easy to dig. And in most places, a pickaxe or a mattock was necessary to break up the soil before it could be shoveled away. These men went to work, and before long we had the 5 holes, and we had concrete mixed and poured. We used a Brunton pocket transit to level the pads. While the concrete pads were curing, we set out to lay pipe from the water tower to the well. This required a trench about 140 feet long and 2 feet deep through exceedingly hard clay soil. The men set to work, and in about 3 hours we had our trench. After the trench was dug, we started laying pipe. The pipe had to be set in sand, at least 2 inches of sand above, below, and on all sides of the pipe, so that stones wouldn't be able to puncture it. The sand was at the far end of the compound. The men took up their wheelbarrows and shovels and brought sand. These men worked so hard and so fast that could barely lay pipe fast enough to stay ahead of them. Within about 3 hours we had the trench, and a few hours more we had the pipe completely run from the tank to the well. At the same time, we ran pipe from the tank to the building. Buildings are not supplied with water the same way in Africa as they are in the United States. There is no one single point of connection for water supply for a building. Every room that has water has an exterior connection. So we needed to run pipe down each side of the building so that we could bring branches off for each room requiring water. With the pipes in place, it was time to fill the tank. The initial fill was made with a gasoline pump so as not to stress the electrical system any more than necessary. After the tank was finally filled, we installed an electric pump in the well. Then the well was resealed after having been treated with chlorine. With the water tower full, the community now had water on tap and no longer needed to pump, the hand pump. But it would be a number of days before we could turn on water for the building, because much of the plumbing work done by professionals previously in the building needed to be repaired. The other part of our project was to put up a wind turbine to generate electricity. And that turned out to be quite a bit easier than I expected it to be. Brian Getbyhead from St. John's Lutheran Church in Rome made us a hinged base for the 30-foot mast, so we could actually lay the mast down on the ground, connect most of the guy wires, and then raise it without having to worry about it going from side to side. Once we got the guy wires in place, then we lowered it, attached the turbine to the top, and then simply raised it up on its hinge again.
The wind turbine is going up. First time in history after all the connection has been done. The guys are finally pulling it up. Up, up, up it goes. Up, up, up it goes. It is up and it's now spinning.
The cables came out on the other side. Can you hold that pole?
The cable came off. Alan is trying to put back the cable when they were pulling it off. His journey. Wind turbine is turning with heavy speed.
Dara, move from over there. Come here. Come here.
It's turning with heavy speed.
Dara, come here. You want to go for it?
Oh, what thing are we?
Dara, come here. Come. Come here. Yeah, I will move from over there.
Okay, so we still have the level out here too?
Level near to what there?
Here's the level. Somebody should come and get it. Right here. They want to put it on the level.
We've got to get a wire tie. The turbine was completely wired and hooked up before it was raised. We didn't want to risk working with live wires. And as you can see, we accomplished the task just before sunset. Now that I've talked about the technical aspects of our mission and how we accomplished each one, I want to talk about the important things. I want to tell you about some of the things that impressed me the most about this trip. For one, this is not just a dream that Peter has. He put a lot of personal resources into it, and he has a dedicated team of people who are willing to do whatever work is necessary to make this a reality. You saw the men digging, and did I mention how hard that soil was? Mixing concrete. And what you didn't see yet are the women who are working, doing laundry, cleaning, hauling water, one of the tasks that we hope to eliminate for them. But everyone working unbelievably hard. And the whole time I was there, I never heard any grumbling. Nobody grumbled, nobody complained, nobody said, why do this? Everyone grabbed whatever tools were necessary, whatever tools were available, and frequently they worked with tools that I found hard to imagine. When the wind turbine mast was put up, they cut those steel cables with machetes because they didn't have the proper tools. They didn't have a cable cutter or a bolt cutter. They did whatever they needed to do to make this work. This is an astonishing feat. Presently, motor vehicles cannot reach the guest house, but it's well situated right at the juncture of three main trails. There's traffic through there all the time, day and night. We had 2 worship services while we were there. The first service, we let it be known just by word of mouth in the neighborhood that we would be handing out clothing and shoes. Peter had acquired a significant amount of used clothing and shoes from yard sales in America before going over. And when it came time for the service, I stopped counting at about 100 people. They were still coming. The poverty level is unbelievable. And when you give somebody a simple thing like a shirt or a pair of shoes, it's so appreciated. It's hard for us Westerners to imagine. Our second service, we gave nothing away, but we still had 65 people came. And we only announced it a couple days ahead of time to the nearby neighbors who spread the word by word of mouth. There is a wonderful mission field here. The harvest truly is plentiful, but the laborers are few.